My name is Treeborn Frog, and I am a Jank Junkie. But what exactly is a Jank Junkie? I figured with this little introduction video, before we get into the series itself, I'd let you know what Jank Junkies is, what the aim is with it, and why I am making it. Jank Junkies is a deep dive into decks that aren't necessarily top tier decks, or any tier decks. We'll be having an in-depth look at what each deck intends to do, the variations of the deck, how it performs against the current meta, and most importantly, how fun the deck is to play. Each deck we study will be split up into parts. Part 1 is the no research part. The plan is to get a deck core through trading or purchase, and using just what we receive in that core, plus cards that I have lying around, building a deck and trying to figure out what that deck is trying to do. After we've got a deck built, we'll run a ton of test hands, because who doesn't love test hands, tinker with it a bit, and then move on to the games. Part 1 will always be in EDO Pro, just to learn how the deck works and make sure that we aren't messing up any rulings. We will then move on to Part 2 Plus. In these follow-up parts, we'll look at variations on the deck, how it affects the playstyle, how close we were with what we felt the deck was trying to do in Part 1, and finally, with each part we will be picking 2 variations against each other, playing 5 games in a competitive environment, whether that be Dueling Book Ranked or the EDO Pro competitive server. The variation with the best record will advance to the variant finals. We'll do this for as many parts as we have to, for as many variations of the deck as there is. Part X, inventive name, I know, but we don't know what part number it will actually be, will then be the variations Showdown, pitting the winning variations off against each other until we have a victor. This will then be the variation that we build upon for the final Showdown. In Part X, we will also showcase the full build for the final part, discussing our choices and giving our thoughts on how the deck will perform. The final part will be competing in an online tournament. As much as I would love to do it in real life competitive events, Wave 2 of Crush Card is well and truly here in the UK, so I don't see that happening anytime soon. After we finish the tournament, we'll discuss how the deck performed, if it felt competent against the meta in a competitive environment, if I feel it's worth picking up in terms of value, viability, depth, and amount of fun to be had while piloting the deck. So, what's the aim of Jank Junkies and why am I making it? I want to educate, both you, the viewer, and myself, about the variety that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has. It's not just about the top tier meta decks, it's about all those archetypes and funky builds. I want to explore what it means to be a player like me, someone who loves the competitive side of the game, but also the janky casual side. I want to see how far we can push these decks, how competitive we can make them, and figure out who I really am as a duelist. I also want to be a better duelist. I think truly diving into all these lesser played archetypes, exploring playstyles, strengths, weaknesses, and learning about all the different tech options available to certain decks will make me, and by extension, you, a better player. I hope you come along with me on this journey of discovery, seeking knowledge, power, wealth, and one big ol' hit of jank.